More cuts for Kansas services tied to this year's budget crisis. About 2 hours ago, Kansas Budget Office laid out $38 million in cuts and another $24 million in transfers. So that is a total of $62 million in reductions and money that was shifted around. 41 Action News reporter Melissa Yeager is in Topeka. She was there for the announcement today, and she breaks down some of the agencies that will see some of the biggest cuts. Melissa.
The Kansas Legislature authorized the governor to make $100 million in cuts, but recommended $50 million of those. Sullivan came in at $63 million to give the budget some breathing room. And here's a look at some of those cuts of what was cut. $17 million from the S-CHIP program, the program for insuring Kansas children, because Kansas was receiving expanding matching federal funds for that program. $9 million from the Department of Education from overpayments for the KPERS retirement fund, which will be transferred back to the general fund, and $8 million from KDOT from efficiencies and savings from our mild winter. Now, advocates of small government will likely praise these cuts because likely there are no layoffs involved, and Sullivan says that Kansans shouldn't see a change in any of the services they receive from the state.
There are a couple of things you could call pure cuts or reductions, but what we tried to do was to minimize the impact on services. So when we're doing that, we're going to look for things as a first order business where there's money that wasn't spent or where there's excess balances or things like some of the things that I covered, where there's additional federal money.
Now, the other shoe to drop is what happens if those revenue estimates come back, when the revenue comes in, that it's actually below what was estimated. And Sullivan did confirm that they are re-examining how the state makes those revenue predictions and are working up with better ways of drafting those. He also admitted that they really aren't sure how those sales tax revenues that the legislature approved will come in. And if they do come in low, they will have to make more budget cuts, but they are authorized to make up to that $100 million level, so there is still room to make more cuts. Meanwhile, the governor is being hit hard by Democrats for not being here for today's announcement. He is actually in Wichita meeting with business leaders. Sullivan says that that was just an unfortunate timing, that they have to get bond disclosure forms in tomorrow, and it just was an unfortunate way of timing out the situation. In Topeka, I'm Melissa Yeager, 41 Action News.